Good morning. It is 8:07 now on News Talk 1079, Wednesday. And, all day yesterday, I had, multiple conversations because I host a radio show. You hear from people. I talk to coworkers. And you had Donald Trump's, of course, very, very alarmist, scary, end of civilization Truth Social that went out, and I thought in my gut, no, he's not. He's not. Like, I've come to understand Donald Trump, and I've come to realize, and I learned this the first term. All right, this is not a Johnny-come-lately revelation. This is something that I noticed probably in year 3, back before the pandemic. I thought, don't ever take Trump literally, especially when the words are a lot of hyperbole. And because Trump has always talked about the Iranian people in favorable terms. He talked about Iran before the revolution 47 years ago. And so when you read that Truth Social and he's like, the end of a civilization, like, okay, something else is going on here. And people over and over and over and over make the mistake of taking him literally. And it's the dumbest mistake. It's the most avoidable mistake. And I told people, I was like, just watch. This is just to get Iran to the table. This is just a way to open the door to having negotiations and getting their attention. I remember as a scout, I learned when you are rescuing someone in the water and they're drowning and they're flailing and you need them to calm down, you slap them in the face. Now, I don't know if that was good advice, and it might even be a false memory, but the allegory here still applies. It's getting the attention of this corrupt regime that has done nothing but threaten their neighbors and conspire to annihilate our allies, and has been a constant thorn is too, that's not even close to describing what they've been, but they've been a thorn in the side of Western civilization and civilized life, modernized life, for the better part of 5 decades now. And of course they've undermined our interests. Of course they've threatened us. And it's the weirdest thing. I do not understand the people who have selective memories about what Iran has said and done and threatened and all of the things that they have done leading up to Donald Trump finally saying, this is a problem, we're going to take care of it. This is a mess that has been ignored by previous presidents. I'm going to take care of this problem. And when you look at this planet Earth, and it has extra meaning this week as we have seen images from deep space of our planet. We are this floating, beautiful blue gem. And we all share this space. We all share it. We have to live together. We're on this big ball called Earth, and we've got to share it and figure out how to do it. And there are some people who, I don't know what it is, but they have become accustomed to living with things that are intolerable. And after a while, the intolerable becomes, well, you tolerate it. It's a contradiction. And Trump is saying, we don't need to tolerate this on planet Earth. We don't need people who are developing weapons that will annihilate the people they don't like. And we have to put a stop to it. And I'm here to tell those of you who, and I know there's some of you out there that can't stand Donald Trump. In fact, I don't know how you got sucked in to the anti-Trump cult, the Trump deranged. I'm not quite sure what pathway led to that, but it's most of the pathways to Trump derangement syndrome have been through the progressive left. But there is a channel or two on the far right where people have sauntered their way into TDS world. I read one post last night, and I never react on, I won't say never. once in a while, but it's very rare and it's not the norm for me to actually engage on social media. I don't like it. It usually just devolves into a mess. And I mean, you know what's crazy? You can go to the fluffiest, most feel-good story you can find, and when you read the comments, by about comment 3 or 4, somebody's pulled politics into it, somebody's pulled unnecessary cynicism into it, and then we've all seen it. It's like the stage of a Jerry Springer episode, but the back and forth version of it. And I'm like, this is not, social media time and again has proven itself unworthy to be a place where we actually solve problems. So I usually don't engage. But as I was reading through, someone on social media was upset that Trump lied. And they didn't, number one, they didn't like the F-bomb on Easter. And I would agree, but I also think that your reaction to it can be measured as well. Okay, it shouldn't have happened, but let's not burn the house down because of it. And then the follow-up tweet, the one that created such a stir about the end of Iranian civilization, and they have until 8 p.m. tonight, and all of that. The moment I read it, I thought, okay, that number one, never, ever, ever, ever take Trump literally. Look over the horizon, see what he's trying to accomplish with what he's saying right now, because usually it's a negotiation check move, especially if it's with a troublesome negotiating partner like Iran. But they were all upset that Trump was either lying or Trump was in 25th Amendment territory, because we all know it cannot be the American position that we go around eliminating civilizations. Okay, and sometimes Trump uses the wrong word, whatever. I don't really know what he was applying there. But having said, and they were doubling down. People were trying to temper her on it, and I'm reading. I'm like, yeah, there's no tempering this. You cannot reason with the Trump deranged. It doesn't work. You can yak until the cows come home. It's not going to work. So here is my message. Not that I'm going to convince you, but there are those out there on the right in this audience that definitely are Trump deranged. We get their texts and people are upset with Trump and they think, okay, he's the madman or he's the Antichrist or he's whatever he is. You are absolutely 100% free to believe that. But I'm here to offer a perspective that I hope you'll be courageous enough to consider. It isn't about you. It's not for you. And if you cannot understand that Donald Trump uses social media very effectively, by the way, to speak, to telegraph, to project, in this case, to his enemies, you're all stuck in an emotional whirlpool because you feel like you got lied to. Get over yourself. It isn't about you. And you are elevating your feelings above everything else. Now, that being said, is Donald Trump's approach worthy of critique? Sure. That's fine. But don't make it about you and don't inject your feelings into this. Donald Trump carries the weight of the world on his shoulders, and you're upset because you think you got lied to. Now, let me ask you a question. This is I run, there's some law about if you make a reference to Nazis or the Holocaust or whatever, then you've lost the argument. So I'm going to run the risk here. And I remember I knew someone once, and I'll be very careful about how I say this. I don't even think they live around here anymore or even listen to me, but they, in their mind, would never lie about anything. Like that was just what they were taught, which is a good thing. Honesty is almost always the best policy. I'm not going to counter that. I think that's noteworthy. Or not noteworthy. I think that's noble. Like that's a noble endeavor and an ambition, and we should all adhere to be honest people. But if you have a Jew hiding in your closet and the Nazis are knocking on your door, how important is it to you in that moment to never tell a lie? I mean, think about it. How important is it to you? Now, don't roll your eyes. Don't go off the rails here. It's a genuine question. How important to you is it in that moment? Now, the reason I bring that up, it's not equating lying about ending Iran's civilization to lying to save Anne Frank. What I'm saying is that there are moments when there are much, much bigger things at stake. And when I look at Iran, they have a long, most of my life. I was 6 years old when the Iranian regime came in, and you had ayatollahs and all of that. I know it's hard to believe. I was not quite paying attention to politics at age 6. That's how old I was in 1979. I probably started at age 7 or 8, but not really. But as I, growing up through the 80s, just Iran was this vexing problem. They've always been a vexing problem for most of my life. And Trump will question the premise. Trump is the one that will come along and say, do we need to live this way? Does Western civilization need to continue operating with the Iranian threat hanging out there? And every so often they are trying to enrich uranium. Every so often they issue a statement about annihilating Israel. Every so often they send money to Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis, and people die, and terror attacks happen. And is it just, it just has to be this way because it's been this way for quite some time. Donald Trump is saying it doesn't have to be this way. We don't need a Venezuela led by a tin horn despot drug dealer. I think up next is probably Cuba, where you look at that, and I know maybe you're already upset about Cuba and nothing's happened there yet. But you know what? Preemptive anger, if you have the bandwidth for preemptive anger, you do you. But you look at it and you think, you know what? The Russians have been using Cuba for a long time to infiltrate our hemisphere. And we saw that with the Bay of Pigs. We saw that with, that was a great movie, by the way. 13 Days. What is that? What it was called? Anyway, it was very good film. If you want to watch a great movie about that and about JFK, it's been a few years since I watched it. But and Trump is saying we don't need to live this way, and he's been telegraphing Cuba's next. He's got some things to tie up with Iran, but I feel like if you're Cuba, but here's the issue. If you establish strength, and this was the Reagan doctrine, peace through strength, it doesn't take very many of these before bad players all over the world realize he means business. So we better reform before we get reformed. We better reform internally before we get reformed externally. Now, you might say, and I think there are people that would be like, well, there was no justification for this. No, there was in Iran for sure. Now, I don't think Cuba's probably not going to launch a war against the United States. But if they allow our enemies who can wage war against us to use them, then you're into a different discussion. Now, in terms of Iran, just because previous presidents have not reacted aggressively to their provocations doesn't mean we don't have the pretense doesn't die. The justification doesn't die just because it wasn't acted upon by previous presidents. And Trump probably has felt like this is a problem. I'm not going to leave the White House until I've done everything that I can to solve this ongoing problem. And we have the right and we have the justification to do it. Now, people are really, really butthurt over a bridge. Apparently, we bombed a bridge. That's a war crime, they scream. which I don't know how that could be a war crime, but apparently maybe there is some rule that says you can't bomb a bridge. Then you had Jesse Waters, who reminded his audience, let me see if I got this. Yeah, here it is. He's like, until you point out that Zelensky bombed a bridge. So which is it?
Trump just got Iran to cry uncle. They've been calling him crazy for making threats, but guess the threats worked. The strait's on its way to being opened, and Iran's promising to stop firing missiles and drones. The next 24 hours will be the test. If oil tankers start sailing through, we're on our way to officially ending this and hitting the president's 6-week time frame. If they play games, back to bridge and power plant day. The mullahs should know better. Their economy's in a depression. Heavy industry like steel, petrochemicals, and their military-industrial complex have been obliterated. People were already taking to the streets during the last economic crisis, and now it's 10 times worse. All morning, we were peppering their crown jewel, Karg Island. That's something Iran can't afford to lose. And our B-52s are already on their way to theater today, but Iran had no choice. The New York Times is also reporting China begged the Iranians to take the deal, saying their economy couldn't take it anymore. The regime was backed into a corner, and the president believed that sending in soldiers to open up the strait and seize Karg wouldn't be wise.
Okay. I don't think that was the clip where he talked about bombing a bridge with Zelensky. But there is definitely a double standard here, and we see this trend. Trump can do no right whatsoever, and I'm a believer you have to look at both sides of the ledger. We got to take a break. We'll come back. It's 8:26 on News Talk 107.9. All right, it's 8:30 on News Talk 107.9. Neal Larson, Julie Mason, and all of you'd like to reach us on the program, 208-542-1079. Coming up, by the way, we have, over the next couple of days, some great interviews. Attorney General Labrador joins us tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
8:35.
We look forward to that very much. Also, Mark Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
He's the old state saloon guy, but he's running for governor now.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be joining us in studio on Friday.
7:30.
And then we're going to talk with Idaho State University's athletic director, Pauline Theros, about the transfer portal, the NIL situation in college athletics, which I think there's this growing consensus and chorus that we got to change this because it's ruining college athletics. Mm-hmm. And you sent me a graphic yesterday. More than half of college athletes are in the transfer portal?
D1. Now, this is just a graphic that was put out. It did have the NCAA logo behind it. I'm not sure how legitimate. I'm sure Pauline could give us an exact total. I'm sure she can look at that transfer portal. But that's a lot.
That is a lot.
I mean, that's just crazy that many athletes are looking to switch. I was talking to my son about this last night, and he goes, well, there's some bad situations. There's coaches that promise things that don't come to fruition for these athletes. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Sure. You're exactly right. That's for real. Half of them, though, are in bad situations. That's where I'm not okay with that.
Yeah. You know, one athlete, and I don't know exact figures. I just know it's a lot. We had, he was probably a power forward. I don't think he was quite tall enough to be center, but Kyrie Huey played for ISU up until 3 or 4 years ago. He transferred to Miami. They paid him 6 figures to just be on the bench. Mm-hmm. Like he wasn't talented enough to start there, but he was a great insurance policy. And that money was, I wouldn't say nothing, but it was a small enough figure for them as an insurance policy to have him there. And then he ended up coming back to the Big Sky. He plays for Eastern Washington, which, you know, it's kind of sad. He's a good Big Sky player, but it was sad to see him go. You had, of course, Dylan Darling. I can't fault these kids, though. Like, you look at the situation.
You can't at all.
Dylan Darling went to St. John's, and we had him for 1 year, and we had a really good year. One of the better years that we've had in the last couple of decades. And a lot of it, he he led the team. He's just a super, super talented guard. But I believe he was paid 7 figures to go to St. John's. How does a kid turn that down? That's life-changing money.
You can't.
And you can't. I can't fault them for doing it. And I mean, it was exciting to see him play and do very, very well in the big dance this year. Like it's just fun to see that. And so but at the same time, if you're these schools, if you're a Duke or a UConn or a Michigan or an Arizona, you're doing just fine because you can now pluck which players you want. It's like a pro league in a lot of ways. And so it's tough for the mid-level and smaller schools because there wasn't a guarantee anyway, but now it's very, very unstable where your roster may be completely different from year to year, and that's rough.
So one of the questions that I'll have right off the bat for Pauline Theros is, do you appreciate the floating of the idea that college players can transfer once?
Yeah.
Have the ability to be Dylan Darling and transfer to St. John's, but not have a school like St. John's have so much money that they can throw it around and get rid of you the next year and like have it not look so good for you. So if somebody like UConn or St. John's or brings in a player from a smaller school like ISU, you're now committed to that player for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
I want to know what she thinks of that. Will that soften this blow that the smaller and mid-range schools are feeling?
Yes. And maybe you add a couple of caveats to that, because if you could have more than one transfer if all parties are in agreement. Like if the coach says, look, we see this isn't a great fit for you here. Maybe the person's causing some morale problems with the team or whatever. The coach may not want the player necessarily to stick around, and the player wants to move on. Do you force them to stay at that school if everyone involved is okay with the player moving on? I mean,
here's the deal. The one move is not good for the student. It's not good for the student athlete.
Right.
As far as because you could be cut. Your scholarship could be taken away.
Yeah.
And you have this option to go to another school. We'll have to ask her, how will they work that in? Because if there's not a portal that you go into, does this kid go back to like individually contacting these recruiters and saying, hey, I'm available. They cut my scholarship.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, it's Brad from Now 105.1 and QP99. I'm in the studio here. I love our studios, by the way. Ranger Rick back there. There's Neal and Julie doing their thing. Hey, when you want to advertise on the radio, what do? You call the radio station, right? But what do you do when you want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and Hulu and Disney Plus and Peacock and the other TV streaming services? You can kind of click around on them and make guesses or read books or take courses online on how to do that advertising. Or you could call us at the radio station. At Sandhill Media, we take care of your local radio and digital marketing. So reach out to us at sandhillmediagroup.com and we'll make sure that your message gets heard and seen wherever your customers are.
I have another idea, because these big schools have massive amounts of money. That's how they can pay these players seven figures, sometimes 8 figures. What if you had the rule that, okay, you can transfer, but whatever you pay the player, you have to pay the school they're transferring from. So it's a financial windfall for the schools that are losing their players. It would be a consolation. It would be something that says, look, okay, we realize we're creating a vacancy on your roster that is very unfortunate. But if the player gets $1 million, you get $500,000 as a school. Maybe you could have a situation. I mean, there's apparently an awful lot of money floating around out there.
Way more than we would have ever thought before this whole mess started 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
When they started, because it came in by increments. And so, yeah, it's kind of bloomed into this. It's a pro league.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Anyway, so We don't want to expire the topic today, but we will be talking with Pauline on Friday, excuse me. What time on Friday?
So she is 8:05.
Okay.
To accommodate our Studio 4 cover, which is Ty Little with Cowboy Poetry. There's a big festival going on. He's going to tell us all about this. Kind of cool. So.
That will be totally great. 35 minutes after 8.
Good.
I mean, that'll be great. 35 minutes after 8. I had to make it cowboy.
You had to put the twang in there?
Yeah. I'd make a terrible cowboy poet. Julie has this look at least 2 or 3 times a week where she's like, do I really work with you?
Yeah, like, okay.
Like, do I have to put up with this garbage? All right. Well, anyway, someone sent me the link, by the way, thank you, to the high-res NASA images of the moon flyby day before yesterday, and already downloaded one of them.
Are they really good?
Yeah, they're really good. I think NASA is now using AI to Photoshop out the aliens on the surface of the moon. And they're done a pretty good convincing job of it. So I just want to say thank you. Okay, Julie, did you hear the monologue?
I did.
Trump?
Yeah.
I just wish people would stop making they're worshiping their own feelings about stuff. And they need to stop that.
It is a cancer that's permeated our culture, that we do this in the crime era of how popular crime is. Well, that crime's actually about me. It's not about you. Yeah, your sister died, but this is how it made me feel.
Yeah.
What? No, that it is not it's not yours to feel.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that going on with politics. Well, this is how I feel, and it's important, and it's more important than what these people are making decisions about. Okay, well, good. Live in your delusion then, because you can have this desire to have your feelings be so important. You're not changing a darn thing.
Yeah, you're right. You're not. It isn't changing anything, and I don't know what they get it. So
I don't know either, but it's a lot of angst and emotion for not a lot of payoff. Yeah. And I don't want to put that much effort into something that I'm not going to get a payoff on. I've got lots of other things that I can have a return.
Yeah.
Like taking care of others.
Yeah.
Doing good at my job.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
There's a return to these things.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Crying on Facebook doesn't really get me anything.
Yeah. No, I no, it doesn't. In fact, it might make your life worse if it becomes a habit. So I said Trump is carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders. Was that a controversial thing to say?
I don't know how anyone can visually look at a president and not see how it physically changes them. Did you not see how Obama aged in 8 years?
Yeah.
It was, yeah. And do we not believe that if Biden had been in a different situation, they might have been able to slow his dementia a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's controversial because they haven't even come out and said he has dementia, but clearly.
Did you see the video of him meandering around the coffee shop and nobody really noticed him?
Nobody was even paying attention.
So weird. So sad.
Yeah. So we have other Biden stuff we could talk about, but because there was a picture put out about him yesterday that's causing a whole bunch of conspiracy theories too. But back to the person who texted this in. Yeah, a president does have the weight of the world on their shoulders. They are the leader of the free world.
Now, I will say that's euphemistic. I don't mean literally. The earth is sitting on his literal shoulders. So let's go to the phones. Caller, welcome. Thank you for waiting. Go ahead. Caller, you need to turn your radio down and just listen to your phone.
Yeah, this is Phil in Postel.
Oh, hi, Phil.
When you talk to Labrador or the Attorney General, can you ask him? I was watching Rob Schmidt on Newsmax the other night, and he had a list of all the states that have got Medicare, Medicaid fraud.
Yeah.
And Idaho has got $16.1 billion. and they're saying that they're holding back the voter rolls to protect the people's information from the federal government. Well, they already got that. Are they doing it to protect illegals that are here getting that type of stuff? But I'd like to know what he's doing about it.
Okay, well, we can ask him about the Medicaid fraud. I had not heard that figure, that they had identified that much fraud in Idaho specifically. Do you know?
Yeah,
do you know?
it was on.
Do you know what their source was? Do you know where? Was it Newsmax? You said. Do you know where they got their?
Yeah, it was Rob Smith's show.
Okay.
And they talked California and a bunch of other Democratic states, but they had a list of all the states, and Idaho was one of them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm kind of interested because my sister called and talked to somebody in his office, and they got very short with my sister. And of course, you have to understand my sister is very vocal, and she said, I didn't swear at him or I didn't degrade or anything like that. I just asked these questions, and they couldn't give me an answer. And finally, she said, well, I'm done talking about this. And she goes, no. You work for the people of Idaho. And if you can't answer that question, maybe you should find a different job. But no, you just can't say to the people you work for that I don't want to talk about that. Of course, yeah. After that. But yeah, I'd like to know why. And I work in a grain industry, and I work with a lot of people. Now they are going through to become legal in that, but I have worked with a lot of illegals, and I can guarantee you if I was Mexican or whatever and I had a chance to come up here and make a living for my family, I would do this same thing. But I blame the Mexican government and our government for allowing it to happen without making a pathway so that these people could come up here and work and make a living, be protected, and not lower the wages of everybody else because they'll work so much cheaper.
Yeah.
And we need to do that because unless we change our system and say, look, if you're getting government assistance, you have to work so many hours if you're an able-bodied person, or you don't get government assistance. If we were to do that, I think we could change, because I'm 70 years old, and I remember getting 10 cents a bag to pick apples at 12 years old, but we can't do that anymore because of child labor laws. And now we have kids that know how to do nothing but play video games. And that's a sad thing for this country, I believe.
Yeah.
But I love you guys' show, and, everything is so serious and all that. But the way you guys bring it out in the day, it makes me laugh sometimes.
Good.
The things you do. So I really love your show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. It means a lot to us. So, yeah. I had something.
Well, I've got a couple things. I don't know how long the bumper music is. I would have to hear his sister's question that turned it to a weird place talking to the AG's office. If she actually referenced something about a current court case, they're not going to answer it.
Yeah, right.
So maybe that's what was going on.
Yeah.
And that's why they chose to say we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, I'd like to hear both sides of that for sure. So, okay. Speaking of the 10 cents a bag for apples, what did you do when you were really young to make money?
Well, I lived out in the country, so I just cleaned the house and my mom gave me money.
So I don't know if they still do this, but I caught gophers.
Okay.
And if you cut off the tails and take them to the canal company, they would pay you for them.
Okay.
And I really thought I was going to get rich off killing gophers growing up. All right, we'll be back after this. It's 8:52. News Talk 107.9, Neal Larson, along with Julie Mason. And, yeah. So, yeah, I don't remember. I think it was $2 a tail, if I remember right.
We're back.
And
okay, but we didn't even talk about this on the commercial break because we were talking about something else. There's no way they would let you do that anymore.
No, I think you can.
You could still take a
Yeah.
gopher. The environmentalists haven't lost their mind about this?
No, I think I saw these traps you can buy mouse traps. They're just rodents. They're just nasty rodents that...
We have shut down logging for rodents.
Well, I know, but these are... Like, I remember gophers, I'm sure, still a problem. And if you went to Cal Ranch, they probably still sell their box traps. Like...
I'm not surprised you can do it on your own land, but...
Yeah.
They're still giving money to somebody for doing this?
Well, they can't track where you caught the gopher. I mean, I don't know. I'll find out. In fact, somebody just texted in. Can you still take gopher tails to the canal company and they'll pay you? And what's the going rate? It was the thing. Like yeah. What?
There's no way this is still going on. They freak out about everything.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're saying, zip it. Don't talk about it because we still do it and we don't want to get canceled. So, I mean, I made a few bucks doing it as a kid growing up. But have you seen what gophers do?
Oh,
They're
I'm sure
terrible.
it's horrible. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I'm just saying I don't know how it's still being done.
I remember you'd wake up and you'd have 3 or 4 new big mounds of dirt on your lawn.
Yeah.
From those stupid gophers. And
yeah,
so,
I'm not justifying it. It shouldn't be done, and they shouldn't be eradicated or diminished. Their population shouldn't be diminished.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we have freaks out there that care more about gophers than they do humans.
I know. I absolutely am with you. I guarantee you there are left-winger nut jobs out there that think it's terrible that you'd kill a gopher.
Yeah.
So, but tough crap. I mean, I don't... We do have to break. It's 8:55. We'll be back. All right. It's 8:58 on News Talk 1079. Neal Larson and Julie Mason. A week from today, we will be holding our very first candidate forum, Julie. And we have Aaron Bingham and Brian McKellar. They'll be joining us here at the Sandhill Studios for probably a 90-minute thing from 8:35 to 10. So
It'll be great. It'll be on Facebook Live, so you can watch it, so you can see their faces and everything. You could also save it. People share clips from that.
Yeah. All right. It's 8:59. Hour 2 coming up. All right. Welcome back. 9:07 News Talk 1079. Neal Larson, Julie Mason, and all of you. 208-542-1079. That's the number if you'd like to reach us on the program. You can call or you can text. So, Julie, can we talk about the ghost murmur?
Oh, yeah.
This is apparently that what John Ratcliffe, CIA director, said was exquisite technology that uses quantum magnetometry, according to him, to detect a heartbeat 40 miles away.
Yes. So if someone's in the middle of nowhere, you're supposed to be able to use this brand new, amazing technology to find a heartbeat.
Can I call bullcrap? Okay, I'm not upset at him for this. If I'm going to be really straight with everyone, I think it's disinformation. Because I think if you had it, you wouldn't tell the people you had it. And I think the only reason to say you have it is to throw off your enemy. And I think that, they shared an awful lot in this. And and Trump, he talked about the discombobulator that they used.
Yeah.
And now, I don't know if we've got
Which still just sounds like a made-up term.
It does, yeah. It was. I think it was.
Yeah.
I think Trump made that up. And this one, actually, they do call it the ghost murmur. And Trump might call it something else, but I don't think it's actually a thing. I think it's disinformation to throw our enemies off. If I'm going to be totally straight with you, my bullcrap meter went off.
I wondered when I was listening about it if there is something similar to it, but they quite embellished what can be done with it, and the distance. And I sat there and I thought, if we had this, why wouldn't we ever use it when a 3-year-old is missing in the middle of the woods?
Exactly. Yes. I know. There's a lot of things. Now, maybe it's not widely available. It may be a multi-gazillion dollar device, if it does exist, and it's in military hands and not to be used by, different
Just
police and
random.
whatever. Yeah. So, anyway, I read about quantum magnetometry. That is a real thing.
Okay.
But to be able to use it to find a heartbeat 40 miles away with nothing in between, I don't think that even, I don't think it exists. I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's actually a thing.
Right.
I mean,
they said it was a thing.
They said it was a thing. I'm just saying, I think we are engaged in a psyop against Iran right now, and I think that might have been part of it.
Just a part of it.
Yeah. But here's John Ratcliffe. Here's what he said yesterday.
At the President's direction, we deployed both human assets and exquisite technologies that no other intelligence service in the world possesses to a daunting challenge, comparable to hunting for a single grain of sand in the middle of a desert. This was also a race against the clock, as it was critical that we locate the downed aviator as quickly as possible, while at the same time keeping our enemies misdirected. For that reason, in addition to the human and technical assets deployed by the President to find our airman, CIA executed a deception campaign to confuse the Iranians who were desperately hunting for our airmen. On Saturday morning, we achieved our primary objective by finding and providing confirmation that one of America's best and bravest was alive and concealed in a mountain crevice, still invisible to the enemy, but not to the CIA. That confirmation was relayed by Secretary Hegseth to the President, and the operation quickly moved to the execution phase. Following the successful exfiltration on Saturday night, our intelligence reflects that the Iranians were embarrassed and ultimately humiliated by the success of this audacious rescue mission.
Yeah, no doubt you would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my honest, genuine hot take on that.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to what I said probably an hour and a half ago. We know only, I think I used the percentage 27%. We don't know anything.
Yeah.
There is a whole lot of conversation going on in the public eye that isn't 100% accurate because they're trying to accomplish things.
Mm-hmm.
So for us to sit here and there will be people that walk around today and talk to their coworkers and everything, 100% sure that this ghost murmur thing exists.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Maybe just don't be so bold in your predictions all the time.
Right. That's probably pretty good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I could be wrong. I'm gonna go with I might be wrong about this, but
I was sitting here trying to think while he was talking, is there any other way that this technology would have only worked based upon maybe something implanted in soldiers?
Oh, like a beacon.
Yes.
Absolutely, that could happen.
Yeah.
But what I read about this particular, it was the heartbeat alone that they
just the heartbeat.
Because this quantum magnetometry, it detects it's a trillion times more sensitive than anything we had before to detect changes in magnetic fields.
Okay.
So, but how do you know a human heartbeat from the heart of a wild pig?
A gopher that we could cut their tail off and get a buck in Owyhee County.
Right. Yes. Right. Exactly. Now you might look at it and go, okay, wild pigs' heartbeats are, they beat at a certain rate, or they have a different pattern. I suppose it's possible. I just think it's very, very remote that it's actually
It's real.
in you. And I'll also add to this: if it's real, we're all screwed. Because their surveillance ability will be so absolute that
there is no more independence.
freedom would be an illusion at that point. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe.
yeah,
Who knows? Maybe it's just embellished.
yeah.
Maybe they can find you from a certain distance, but that was an embellished distance.
40 miles,
Yeah, maybe.
maybe 30 feet. I don't know if 40 miles is it. So,
Yeah.
okay, somebody sent a meme. Did you read this?
The one with the wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this forever ago. Yeah.
Can I read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Before I got married, I'd just smash into the back of cars because I didn't have a wife to gasp and scream when someone braked 3 miles ahead.
I feel like women are
Okay.
under attack in this building today. Because our
yeah, Phil
neighbor
came in.
station, Phil came in and was attacking women in front of me as well.
Yeah. Right. Well, apparently there's a story out there that female flatulence smells worse than male flatulence. I don't know who's sick enough to try and study that, but
And how much do you get paid an hour to smell it?
see, there's 1,000 subsequent questions that I don't really want to explore. Yeah. Someone just said it took them 15 minutes to figure out they've been listening to yesterday's live show.
So this is a good PSA moment.
Yeah.
This person sent the live feed quicker, I believe, than I had the live prompt in,
Oh.
because I can't put the prompt in until the live goes live.
Ah, gotcha.
And so I sent them the new one, but they had probably already clicked on the old one, and then they were watching the old one. So I
Wait
used
till like 9:10.
9:07 is a
9:07.
pretty good target time that the live key will be. Now, I think I can share the other key, but it doesn't, it's like wonky looking and weird, which is why I always wait for the actual live version of it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do you a solid by waiting.
Yeah.
So give me till 9:07.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And also, if you look at the video, Julie puts the date of the whatever the episode is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So that like today's, it says April 8th. So there you go.
yeah. Okay, 208-542-1079. We are not going to go down this rabbit hole. So
You
we've had
open it up.
We've had a couple of texts, but we're
Attack
not.
the female gender. Go for it.
I'm not. That's my point. I'm not going to. I am not going to point out that. Just kidding. Yeah.
Look, there are unique things to the female gender. I can only testify for myself. I have never physically touched the thermostat in this building. Never. And we've been here for 6 years.
Yeah.
I am not that female that changes the temperature because I'm uncomfortable. I adjust myself.
Right.
We have a whole bunch of males in this building who touch that thermostat.
As you sit there with a blanket wrapped around you, by the way.
Because I'm not going to force. It's
Yeah.
72 degrees in here, so I'm just having a cold day. I'm not going to make anyone else change for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, is there some like unique things we do? It doesn't mean every female does it.
Yeah.
To remind you that
What you doing over there?
That's called a Fox News tab. Stupid Fox News. Why do they do that?
They're the worst.
They really are the
They
worst.
really are the worst because I have probably 15 tabs open right now. Fox would be the only one that would do that to me.
Yeah. And I forget to mute the tab when I click on a Fox story. So, Julie, we could do a flash pull out of this next story. Apparently, President Trump is going to meet with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Rutte,
Okay.
Wednesday at the White House, just as transatlantic relations within the alliance have frayed during U.S. operations in Iran. Trump has repeatedly threatened to withdraw the U.S. from NATO and slammed European nations for blocking base access and providing limited help to the Iran offensive known as Operation Epic Fury. Despite a good relationship with the head of NATO, who once called him daddy of the alliance, Trump has said he views NATO as a one-way street. You'll have to start learning how to fight for yourself. The USA won't be there to help you anymore, just like you weren't there for us, he said to the alliance in a Truth Social post March 31st. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also meets with Rutte on Wednesday, told Fox News recently, after this conflict is concluded, we're going to have to re-examine that relationship. We're going to have re-examined the value of NATO in that alliance for our country. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez closed Spanish airspace to any aircraft, including U.S. bombers, departing from the UK involved in strikes against Iran, and denied the U.S. use of its in-country bases. The Rota Naval Station in Moron is how you say it, but I'll just call it Moron Air Base, for any combat, refueling, or staging missions related to the Iran conflict. President Emmanuel Macron blocked Israeli aircraft from using French airspace to transport U.S.-made munitions intended for the war in Iran. Meanwhile, Finnish President Alexander Stubb told Trump in a phone call a more European NATO is taking shape. European nations have felt the brunt of the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, a key waterway for its natural gas supply, and expressed frustration that they were not consulted prior to the start of the Iranian conflict. I'm not the commentator on an operation that the Americans decided on with the Israelis alone. They can later regret not being supported in an operation they decided on by themselves. This is not our operation, Macron told reporters on April 2nd. So this is fraying, and basically they're saying you weren't there for us when we needed you.
So a side portion to this story, I want to point out to everybody who has trashed Trump and his decisions and everything that he's doing with this conflict in our text line. When I say that you lack humility and you think you know everything, this is a prime example of it. He has moved so far past already and is handling other situations while he allows people to do these negotiations with Iran. The ceasefires happen. He's already holding other meetings. You're so far behind him.
Well, I can hear the ghost of Margaret Thatcher in my mind when she said, consensus is the absence of leadership. Mm-hmm. And people who are not conservative hate that. They hate that thought. They think everybody's got to be on board with everything. And Trump knows if we have to sit and decide on this by committee with people who don't have the same spine that he has, it's going to take forever. Mm-hmm. So you can decide if you want to live with the consequences of being uncooperative with the United States, taking care of a problem that's been lasting a very long time. But I would, in my mind, and I will also say this, the emotions are stronger right now because, all of this has just happened. My reaction to this would be, why would we stay in NATO at this point? If we can provide for our own defenses and they're not there in those moments when we could really use their help and their support, I'm sorry they got butthurt that they weren't keyed in on what was about to happen. But I think maybe we are at that point where we say, you know what? We will find out who our real allies are, and maybe NATO should be much, much, much more European, and we'll do our own thing.
Yeah. I don't have a real strong opinion on this one because I don't think anyone really knows in 6 years what it looks like if we leave NATO. I do have an opinion going, they've done nothing for us.
Yeah.
So if America does choose to leave NATO, I'm like, meh. All right, let's see what happens. Let's see. I have no idea what is going to happen, but I do know staying in it's not giving us any benefit at this point.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see how this all plays out. Also, I think it's interesting that we can't visualize that Trump is using social media and the media to threaten Iran. Why wouldn't he also force NATO's hand by using the same utilities?
Yeah.
This is how he does things. When are we going to learn?
Yeah.
And we've got 2.5 more years of it.
I know. Yes, we do. We pay 62% of NATO's defense budget.
See, come on.
62%.
Yeah. And they do nothing. Nothing. How I would love a collated list of how they're helping America at this point.
We spend about 3.2% of our GDP on defense in 2025. Poland spends a little more, 4.5%. They're carrying their weight. But we pay more in terms of a percentage than a lot of other nations do. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Just make it across the board. Whatever your GDP is, and then some small percentage of that, it goes into NATO. Because we'd probably still end up paying the overall percentage, a lot of it, just because we have a very robust GDP, because we're not Europe. But we're getting the... Why? Mm-hmm. Why? I mean...
That's what I'm saying. What are they giving? I would love a really strong list of what we actually think we're getting for our investment into this organization.
Yeah. And, you look at it and you think, okay, look, if you're going to be the king of Spain, whatever, and you're going to be upset that you didn't get the phone call from Trump or you weren't included, you can take that one snapshot of a moment. But when you look at the disproportionate amount that we've been paying, and that we're really the only force in the world that can take care of a problem like Iran, which is, by the way, Spain's much closer to Iran than we are, and we're taking care of a problem in their neighborhood. That's what's infuriating to me, is they will isolate all the context from this and just pluck the thing that can make them the victim and make them butthurt. And I don't have a lot of toleration for that. And if we can we're going it alone anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
They're not, when we needed them, they weren't there. So why would we stay in it?
The current status is inactivity.
Yeah.
So when I say I don't have a really strong opinion, that's my opinion, is that we're not getting anything from it right now anyway.
Yeah.
So if this is the choice, I don't know where it leads us, but where we're currently at, we're not getting anything. Yeah. So why not?
Here's the thing, and this is why I don't think it would happen. I don't think any European nation wants to not have the U.S. in NATO as long as Russia is led by Vladimir Putin. Mm-hmm. They need us. We don't need them, but they need us. And maybe, you know what? This is another Trump play.
Like I said.
This is another Trump move.
These are the utilities he uses.
Yes, he does. And he makes it seem like we're going to be getting out of NATO. Well, we don't want Vladimir Putin taking over Europe. But guess what? We don't want to pay 2/3 of NATO's budget either anymore. Right. So, and we need them to step up when we need their help.
Right.
All right, let's go to the phones. 208-542-1079. Caller, go ahead.
Oh, they hung up.
I have a name. I could call him back. All right.
He docks you right here on the air to thousands.
All right, we'll take a break. 208-542-1079. Okay. Marv sent the Toma sheet. Did you get Marv's Toma sheet?
Mm-hmm. Stephanie, my shirt is black. So, yes, Neal and I are matching today.
Uncoordinated.
Don't talk about my basketball skills like that. It's just rude.
That's funny.
Glade, we just got a text from somebody. I don't know who it is. It said they're planting grain right now, and that they're listening to Neal and Julie, and they're trying to convince their husband that's the way to do it. So there's two of you out there, Glade. There's the female version and you, both listening to Neal and Julie this morning.
When you said solid, that's funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
It reminds me of one of my favorite jokes.
Stop it.
Well, now I have to tell it.
I don't even think it's been 30 days since you told this joke.
I love this joke. Constipation jokes aren't my favorite, but they're a solid number 2. Come on, that's...
Oh, it's Amanda out planting grain. Have fun, Amanda.
When my daughter and I went to Raising Cane's and then out to the cemetery, the fastest route from, Chubbuck is to go back through Fort Hall, Tyhee, Ferry Butte, and then out to the
cemetery.
Yeah. But I thought, you know what? It's probably only 15 minutes longer to take the interstate to American Falls and then the highway through Aberdeen. So that's the way we went. And it was kind of fun driving through because there were a lot of planters out there getting ready
It was happening.
Yeah. Okay. I can't take this much texting from him. No, I'm serious.
Well, did you see? That was a really rude text. I don't talk that way. That was really rude what I sent back.
He's up to 11 texts today.
He missed everything I said.
Yeah.
So if somebody who doesn't talk rudely talks to you that way and you blow right past it.
Yeah. All right, 9:32. So, Julie, we have a 1 call a week rule. Should we have a 5 texts a day rule? Welcome back, 208-542-1079. If you'd like to join us on the program, we'd love to hear from you. We're not going to do a flash poll. Should we stay in NATO? I think this is a discussion that has to mature a little bit and kind of see what NATO decides they want to do. They were kind of worthless for us the last 6 weeks, but so we weren't even asking them to show up with planes and bombs and soldiers. We just said, let us use the air bases. That's it. Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't even do that.
Yeah.
So
and at what risk for themselves? What are the?
We weren't asking. We were just asking to not obstruct what we were doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let us get around. Let us do what we need to do.
Yeah.
And if you start really digging, I think you can come up with some really defined reasons why they don't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
For me and you, it doesn't seem like a risk, right? But
right.
you gotta view it from where they're at. What's the risk? Part of it is because they have screwed up their immigration policy so much.
Yeah.
They will probably have revolts within their cities.
That's probably true.
And so they've backed themselves into a corner with how much they've allowed Middle East immigration into their countries.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It's true. Someone said they love us. Be encouraged. Stay the course.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet of them.
You know what we need to do? We need to add in an AI agent with our texting. Mm-hmm. And if it's nice and friendly and accurate, we get to see it. But if it's the 14th text they've sent, it's snide, it's confrontational, just hide it. Just delete it from us. We need it like an AI gatekeeper for our texting.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. Someone said, when was the last time NATO did something for the U.S.? They've been useless to us for a lot longer than the last 6 weeks. Additionally, why should we care if Vladimir Putin takes over Europe? What freedoms do the people of Britain have that the people of Russia don't have?
Here's the very elementary, simple answer to that. And they might be asking this completely rhetorically, so it's hard to tell in text, but you can't give Russia that much control.
No.
We just cannot allow that to happen. So there is this negotiation that's got to go on that in our best interest, we do have to keep Europe safe.
Yeah.
But they've got to give something back in return.
Well, yes, they absolutely do. We have lots and lots of air bases throughout Europe, Germany, the UK, and we would not want to imperil those. There are things that are important aside from the individual freedom that citizens have that are very much in the American interest. And so if Vladimir Putin were able to take over Europe, he would manipulate energy supply and oil supplies and to his benefit. So we want to keep Vladimir Putin contained. Mm-hmm. And but sorry, I almost made a really snarky joke there, but I withheld it, Julie.
53-year-old filter.
My filter.
Coming in clutch.
I would say it still works, but that's not quite accurate. It works sporadically.
We'll celebrate the moments it does.
That's true. I mean, I shouldn't put dollar store batteries in my content filter. No offense to the dollar store, but maybe we'll start putting Duracells in there. 208-542-10. Okay, we're up to 12. Julie, I can't do it. We have someone who's literally texted more than a dozen times today. And I don't.
Well, and it's not even here. Let me explain to this person because I know they're listening. When you send a massive text with an explanation by Grok to some prompt that you have done, we're not reading it.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of doing a radio show.
Yes. Yes.
We're not reading it. So you're wasting your energy.
You know what? And after a while, you just start ignoring it. I just sent him a message. I said, slow down. Way too many texts today. Let's go to the phones. Caller, welcome to the show. How are you?
Neal, talk to me.
I'm here. What's up?
Well, I've been worried about it this morning. You seem a little agitated, so I just wanted to call you and let you know that I feel your pain.
Good. Do I seem agitated?
Yeah, you do. I get it.
Okay. At this?
Yeah, you seem agitated, dude. And I thought I was the only one that could push your buttons.
Well,
He's feeling a little jealous, actually.
Okay,
Did you
yeah.
want to push?
I'm very
no,
very
that's
jealous.
true. Look, I know there is a Costco joke coming in the next couple minutes here. So I'll just praise myself for it.
People talk, you hear things, but I decided today that I'm going to refrain from that particular point just to make you feel better about yourself. So I only have one thing that I'm going to say to you.
Yeah.
Go get them, Tigers.
Well, thank you. So why do I seem agitated?
I just think you're letting these things bother you or inflame you a little more than you would on an average day.
Okay, so
that's it.
I did reach sort of an irritation point last night when I saw a number of people making no attempt whatsoever to try to understand Trump's endgame strategy here. And the only thing they do is they look at his Truth Social or they read something that he put out, which I agree. Sometimes he doesn't hit the right notes. Sometimes his tone is off. I'm not going to defend it 100% and say it's lily white and pristine. I get that part of it. But they make no effort to try and salvage the good or any meaning from it or anything that is going to come about that is productive because of it. They will not do that because they have decided Trump's a bad guy, can't stand him, everything he does is bad, everything he does is nefarious, he's whatever. And I'm like, okay, at that point, number one, yeah, it pushes me into an irritation point because guess what? He's put these, I mean, the Easter tweet, open the bleeping Strait of Hormuz, and then the one about the end of civilization. Yeah, those are very unorthodox. You don't have American presidents typically putting messages out like that. But guess what? Iran came to the table. Mm-hmm. We have a ceasefire. It may be fragile. It may not last a lot longer, but that's up to Iran. But that's the tone that Trump knew he had to take to get Iran's attention. You don't have to agree with me on that, but at least take 10 seconds and give it some consideration that maybe Trump knows what he's doing, that he does see an end game here, and stop elevating your reactive feelings above everything and treating them as though that's gospel truth.
Well, I get exactly why everything that you're explaining is one of the reasons I haven't been using Facebook outside of work, hardly ever. I just don't go because I can't stand it. I also can't stand the pathetic desire to put out something like that just so that you can get people commenting back to you. Those people really need to go get a hobby because everything you did on Facebook last night probably did nothing better than damage you and your relationships around you.
Yeah.
Go do something productive because what you did didn't change what's happening.
Yeah.
It's never going to change what's happening. We've got him for 2.5 more years. There will be lots of good that come from having Trump as a president, and there will be some bad. Welcome to being the president.
Welcome to life.
Has
Yeah.
every CEO done absolutely everything 100% perfect?
Yeah.
Geez, I'd like to find him. How many mistakes has Elon made, yet the man is incredibly successful?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Welcome to reality, and your little finite opinion doesn't change it.
Yeah.
Go do something bigger.
Go make the changes you can make and bloom where
Yes.
you're planted.
Okay.
I just took my irritation and I made it into an inspirational poster.
All we need is a little daisy coming up through the sidewalk.
Like in my mind, it was like a flower centerpiece on a table. 9:41. We'll be back. I have not looked at our numbers this week yet. Let's take a peek at them here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, that's the wrong station. KAOX.
Craig said, and that planting, bloom where you're planted, may be in manure. LOL.
Yep. It's true. We haven't seen a big, huge spike in listenership since the Iran thing started. Maybe a little. You know what? Maybe that's part of the opposition that Europe has to us having Greenland. Mm-hmm. If we have Greenland, we do not need to be in NATO at all.
Yep. It makes us significantly stronger.
Yeah.
I still haven't asked you this morning. We've been together for almost 4 hours.
Yeah.
Who specifically bothered you so much on Facebook last night? I mean, I know you're not going to say it on here, but who was it?
Yeah.
Okay, he just read me the post. This person is so arrogant. They actually are in God's mind.
That's true.
This person believes they know what God is doing.
But that's what these people do. They elevate everything about it. But now can you see why I don't even realize how agitated I did get at that last night until I reread it this morning. I'm like,
I don't know this person. I thought maybe it was a mutual friend of ours. I don't know this person. But that's a little unhinged.
You're also friends with this person.
Really?
Yep.
This name, no recognition whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay. Here's the crazy thing. Now that Neal has pulled it up while we're sharing an IP address, if I was to go to my Facebook, I would start seeing her stuff.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. The algorithms do wonky things like that.
Yeah.
You were looking at it last night on your home address.
Yeah.
Someone's telling you to go for a drive.
I did see that.
Go enjoy your time.
I didn't realize I thought I'd been funny and cheerful today, but.
You're just irritated. You're fine.
Yeah.
You're not being mean or anything. There's just a little edge. You're fine.
Edge to it?
Yeah.
Okay. $9:47 on News Talk 1079 208 542 1079. If you'd like to join us on the program, we'd love to hear from you today. And I mean that genuinely by people who love and care for me. I've been told I have a little edge today. I didn't even realize it. But you know what? I read the post that I have referenced last night to Julie. And as I read it, I realized, that did irritate me because they have elevated their opinion, refused, like they put forward this false choice and they will not, I don't even know this person, by the way. And I think maybe I have taken sort of a collection of frustrations.
Moved it all into the same arena.
And put it all in one basket here. So it's probably, and again, I'm not naming the person. Yeah. There are a handful of these people that I'm seeing on my timeline that it has become, and I think they were Trump supporters. I think they voted for Trump. I think they liked Trump for a while, but they have decided to go all in the other direction. And I think one thing that happens when you, and I don't know if it's just part of derangement syndrome. I don't know if it's part of sort of a virtue comparison with someone. But when you feel more virtuous than someone, all of a sudden, you no longer are skeptical of your own motives. You're no longer skeptical of the stuff that you're putting out into the universe because you're so virtuous. It's above critique. It's above scrutiny. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing I can't stand about their opinions. And it's the frustration that I get with big L libertarians. Like they think they are there to save society, that their ideas are so much better than everyone else's They've even stopped fact-checking, motive-checking, doing any kind of checking on what they're saying and what they're proposing. And that's the thing I get frustrated at.
Let's talk about the psychology of that, right? Honestly, I'm asking the listener right now to honestly do this. How many relationships in your life are you all in on? And what I mean by that is I have a multitude of friends that if they make a decision I don't agree with, I love them. They're still my friend. Oftentimes, I won't even tell them I disagree with them because guess what? It's their life. They get to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
It's not mine to hijack. The only time I would step in on those all-in relationships is I would be like, I'm really worried about you. Do you feel like you're doing the right thing here? That's the way I would phrase it. That's not the way these people talk.
No.
The psychology of this is so bizarre to me. It's so bizarre. I would venture for most people, the relationship they're most all in on is the one that they're the person that they're married to, their spouse.
Yeah.
I don't even talk about my spouse this way.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's very weird.
The psychology of it is so bizarre.
It is. It's really odd. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't know I think social media has a lot to do with it. And it's not healthy for us to be able to take whatever we feel impulsively and then within seconds put it out to the world. Mm-hmm. Because if you think about our lives up until prior to social media and maybe a little bit prior to the internet, and I remember I shouldn't even tell you this because you're going to mock and ridicule me.
Oh, I can't wait. I have an opportunity.
If you go back into the annals of the Idaho State Journal, you will find a couple letters to the editor that I wrote, political letters as a teenager. And I remember before I had a radio show, that sort of was a very popular forum. You'd write letters to the editor and then you'd wait a few days until they were published, or sometimes they wouldn't publish them. I think I did maybe 2. But now what happens, and this was what my TED Talk was on a few years ago, is that once you have stated something publicly, the fact that it's public gives you an obligation to defend it, because people hate to be wrong. And they don't hate to be wrong if they can be wrong privately. They hate to be wrong publicly. So once you make an argument publicly, it's very difficult to back away from that. So if you're writing a letter to the editor, or if you have some time to let ideas percolate before you put them out to the world, I think we're more civil about it. I think that we tend to be, not that there was not incivility before, but I think incivility has hit hyperspeed. And people have this tendency to think that once I put it out there, it's gospel truth. It is now part of reality. And I mean, it's just an unhealthy thing to be able to have our instant impulsive reactions and opinions be instantly broadcast out to the world. And and I think we have to be I don't know how we're going to get out of it though. I mean, we live in an age now. I don't think we're putting the toothpaste back in the tube, and we got to figure out some way to have a more livable situation, because we don't do a lot of deep thinking anymore. We do a whole bunch of superficial thinking, and we put it all out there. But I don't know if we think deeply through issues anymore. Right. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the phones. Caller, welcome to the show.
Well, good afternoon.
Hi.
Discombobulator.
Yeah.
Trump term. Discombobulate as a term that has existed for quite a long time, and it means to confuse.
Yeah.
So that part is a real term. I seem to remember, and I'm almost 80, on early television, a show where one of the cartoon characters had a discombobulator.
Oh.
But I haven't been able to verify that. I thought it was Howdy Doody, but it may actually have been a cartoon with Martin the Marvelous Martian or whatever. Not my favorite Martian, but the cartoon Martian.
Okay.
Anyway,
I think, it's Marvin the Martian.
Yeah. Let's see. The Rex Mars atomic discombobulator appeared in The Simpsons, but that's probably not what you're talking about. So.
no, but so the term is out there. It's not like President made it up.
Yeah, right. I gotcha. Okay, well, we'll do a little research and try to find it. All right, let's go to our next caller. Caller, you got about 30 seconds. We're kind of bound by time here this morning.
Guidance and direction needed. Which do you want to vote for, an idealist or a pragmatist? Because some of our people are running as idealists. So could you answer that, if not now, after the break? Thank you.
Okay. You know what? I think that's a great question. I may have to put it off until tomorrow, but I have an answer for that. We do have to break, though. It's 9:55. Okay, so we have two. Hold on a sec. We might. I feel like, and I loved that question, but it's a false choice.
Yeah. Well, I wondered, do you want to write it down so that you can address it tomorrow?
Yeah. We're over by 45. So I've got a. Okay.
This person said Marvin the Martian had a disintegrator. His famous line was the Illudium Q6 space modulator. You all got to witness the fact that my eyes are really bad. I had to squint to see where those I's are L's.
Yeah.
I think over the last 6 or 8 months, my eyes have significantly declined. I don't think I can keep abusing them, doing lashes, and not expect them to significantly.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to happen.
Do you want my really hot take on that last call? My first pass is idealism. And then I will give a little bit, just enough to get enough votes to get the thing I want passed. Some people start with, let's try to get as broad a consensus as possible. And you're asking for lots of mischief when you do that.
Yeah.
So I apologize. We are out of time, but I will tomorrow. I've made a note. I will answer the idealism versus pragmatism question. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Julie and I back tomorrow.